The Wild Wasteland trait should be no stranger to a seasoned New Vegas player. I would imagine that by far it's the most popular trait among players. There are two types of players in New Vegas: players who use the Wild Wasteland trait for every playthrough, and players who have never chosen the perk, so they don't know what they're missing out on. But in all seriousness, this perk transforms the game in more ways than one. The exploration in this game is already very satisfying on its own, but Wild Wasteland brings it to an all new level. It will add and change certain random encounters and locations within the game by typically adding references to other media. All of these events are notified to the player with the classic alien sounding music effect, along with a message in the corner of the screen with the perk's logo. The logo includes a trippy vault boy surrounded by an alien, a suave dog with glasses, and a skeleton with an NCR Ranger hat. The trait includes 15 major encounters within the Mojave Wasteland and DLCs. You can even see unique dialogue options with the trait selected, but have to keep a keen eye out for them because they don't notify the player when showing up. Now with that out of the way, let's look at what exactly Wild Wasteland adds to the game. That fridge was a death trap. If you travel southeast of Goodsprings, you will see along the road that there is a demolished refrigerator containing skeletal remains as well as a suave gambler hat. This is a reference to the 4th Indiana Jones movie, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where Jones takes cover in a refrigerator to protect himself from a nuclear blast test. After the explosion launches him miles away, General Robert Ross says this to Indy.
Don't you know it's dangerous to climb into a refrigerator? Those things can be death traps.
Hovering alien ship. If you head north of Horowitz Farmstead, you will encounter a small camp populated by 3 extraterrestrials along with their hovering ship. If you dispatch these 3 foes, one of them, the captain, will drop a unique alien blaster along with 100 alien power cells as ammo. The 2 other aliens will drop tri-beam laser rifles as well as some regular and drained energy cells. Without the trait enabled, this area is a mercenary camp where 4 hostile mercenaries are found. After defeating them, one will drop the unique YCS-186 Gauss rifle, replacing the alien blaster as a result. What is it, boy? This encounter appears if the player has Rex as an active companion. Sometime after traveling, Rex will get the player's attention with this sound. This enables the player to find out that little Jimmy may have fallen into a well, and this location will be marked on the Pimp Boy east of New Vegas underneath an overpass. After reaching the well, the bottom of it will contain a child skeleton, a mole rat, an Abilene Kid LE BB gun, 200 BBs, a rawhide cowboy hat, and a super stim pack. This is a reference to the 1954 Lassie TV series, where the character Timmy was frequently rescued from a multitude of dangerous situations, because his dog Lassie would warn other characters of his predicaments. This is also a callback to the quest from Fallout 2, where the Chosen One is looking for a boy named Johnny, and is warned by his dog Laddie that Johnny may have fallen into the town well, and that he had likely been eaten by a mole rat, causing him to drop his BB gun. In the end, Johnny is later found to be alive, and the Chosen One finds out why he has actually disappeared. Mod's Muggers. After exiting Cerulean Robotics, the courier will be ambushed by 3 elderly women, known as Mod's Muggers. Their names are Irate Ida, Rancorous Ruth, and Malefic Maud, and are wearing pre-war spring outfits and armed with rolling pins and switchblades. After defeating them, you can loot a small amount of caps off their corpses, which hints that previous muggings that they have committed were successful. Some of the locals will also occasionally mention the gang around Freeside. This is a reference to the Monty Python sketch named Hell's Grannies, and is about gangs of old ladies attacking fit, defenseless young men. You're getting too close, Sheamus. During the quest, I put a spell on you. If the player spills the beans to Captain Curtis that they know that there is a mole using the Camp McCarran control tower at night, and ends up staking it out later, they will be ambushed by him. Right before he strikes though, he will yell,
"You're getting too close, Sheamus."
This phrase comes from the 1989 game, Where in the USA is Carmen Sandiego, where it was said by in-game NPCs to indicate to the player that they were getting close to catching a criminal. The name Sheamus is an early 20th century slang used to refer to private detectives. ROUS. Within certain underground locations, like the New Vegas sewers, Brockflower Cave, or Vault 11, There are huge rats that can be found 1.5 to 2.5 times larger than normal. They can be considered rodents of unusual size, and are mentioned by Lady Jane. These rodents are a reference to the movie The Princess Bride, and the ROUS, or rodents of unusual size that live in the fire swamp. This is also a callback to Fallout 2, where the town of Kalmath is infested with a large rat problem, and were referred to as RUS, where the word of is omitted from the original acronym. Owen and Buu. Located in front of a damaged house to the right of the town hall in Nipton, the player can find 2 skeletons. There appears to be 1 male and 1 female named Owen and Buu respectively. This is a reference to Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope, where Luke returns home to find his Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru burnt to death and positioned the same as found in the game. Holy Frag grenades. Within the basement of the Searchlight East Church, the player can stumble across a crate of 3 holy frag grenades on a table. The crate holding these sacraments has a writing that says, "Pull pin and count to 3, with the 5 crossed out and replaced with the 3. This references the holy hand grenades of Antioch, used in the 1975 movie Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And of course it wouldn't be a Wild Wasteland trait if it didn't also reference Fallout 2, where there are special encounters with King Arthur's knights. Romanus et Domus. This encounter is found as graffiti on the northern wall of Cottonwood Cove headquarters. Written on the wall is Romanus et Domus. This is another reference to a Monty Python movie, Monty Python's Life of Brian. Where Brian attempts to write the graffiti on a palace wall, he means for it to mean Romans go home, but instead writes, "People called Romanes, they go, the house." A centurion, John Cleese, sees this and forces him to write the correct version on the wall 100 times before the next morning, or have his family jewels cut off. And you thought your boss was a pain. Crusoe sucks as an investigator. During the Beyond the Beef quest, a dead investigator is discovered by the player in an ultra-luxe hotel room. If you check the name of this man, you will find his name is Crusoe. Without the trait enabled, this dead investigator is named Jay Barnes. The name is a reference to the actor David Caruso, who plays the character Horatio Kane in the TV series CSI Miami. The future of law enforcement. During the same quest, if the player chooses to pin the kidnapping of Ted Gunderson on his father, Heck, then one of the arresting Securitrons will say,
"You can't do this to me. This is a mistake."
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
The hell I will.
Stand back, citizens. Deceased bodies are a known source of illness and a potential tripping hazard.
This is a reference from Paul Verhoeven's 1987 movie, RoboCop, which is spoken when the protagonist confronts a criminal with whom he has a personal history with. The One. Slightly northeast of the Devil's Throat crater is a very large, still active atomic bomb known as the One. The player can loot this bomb for some extra energy ammo too. Close by this site is typically a group of about 4 to 5 super mutant masters patrolling around, as well as a few ghouls. Johnny 5 Aces. When the player leaves Goodsprings for the first time heading towards Nipton, an NPC named Barton Thorne will request that the player investigate an overlook south of Goodsprings. Once reaching the top, you will find a dead prospector named Johnny, wearing glasses, with a glass pitcher next to him, and 5 aces on the table. Next to him are 4 bowling balls lined up perpendicular to the cliff face. This is a reference to a failed game project named Zyborn Clock, and even more specifically, a character in the game named Johnny 5 Aces, as well as a metaphorical explanation of time travel involving 4 balls placed on the edge of a cliff. The bowling balls are also exactly lined up to point towards the Death Trap Fridge encounter closely below it. Without the Wild Wasteland trait enabled, this Johnny 5 Aces is replaced with a generic dead prospector. Game over, man. Game over. If you tune into the NCR radio during the Second Battle of Hoover Dam, within the chatter about positioning snipers and reinforcements, the player might hear the lines,
"They're coming out of the walls, man. They're coming out of the damn walls."
as well as,
Game over, man. Game over.
This is a reference to the 1986 movie Aliens, when Private First Class William Hudson is inside of an alien hive, and after his team's dropship crashes on an alien-infested planet. Damn it, I'm an ambassador. While doing the quest King's Gambit, a unique piece of dialogue will come up when speaking to Ambassador Crockett about the Pacer situation. If you tell Crockett that Pacer has a heart condition and is a jet addict, and insinuating that Crockett should know what to do with this information, he will respond with,
"Damn it, I'm an ambassador, not a doctor. You'll have to find some other way."
This line is similar to the phrase, "Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a blank," where the blank is replaced with a random profession. This is typically attributed to Leonard Bones McCoy in Star Trek. Donnie and Marie. If the player warns Motor Rudder that they are about to kill him, he will refer to his dogs Bone Gnash and Gash Bone as Donnie and Marie before engaging in combat with you. This is a reference to the 1976 TV series Donnie and Marie. Pimp Boy 3 billion. After acquiring the Pimp Boy 3 billion from Mick and Ralph in Freeside, disco music will play each time it's equipped. Mr. New Vegas. Mr. New Vegas has a few unique lines that he will add into his broadcast if the Wild Wasteland perk is chosen. They are,
"You know, I tried to measure my charisma on a Vitomatic vigor tester once. The machine burst into flames. Stay classy, New Vegas. Mojave, Mo problems."
These lines are a reference to the film Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, and to the notorious Big song, Mo Money, Mo Problems. Exterminate. Instead of their typical combat lines, if anyone engages combat with the Securitrons in Freeside, they will repeatedly yell, "Exterminate." This refers to the Daleks, a recurring faction made up of racial genocidal armor-encased aliens from the fictional TV series Doctor Who. Witch. If the player's reputation with Freeside is either hated or vilified, some of its residents will scream, "Witch, witch. You should be burned for all those people you've turned into newts." Although this line is only accessible through console commands, as the developers forgot to include it into the NPC's options of lines to say. This is meant to be another reference to Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where a villager accuses a woman of witchcraft for turning him into a newt, even though he's still human. Ain't nothing but a hound dog. If the player has Cass as a companion and is in Freeside, a King's gang member may attempt to rizz her up, but is promptly denied. One of these attempts involves a king whistling at her, to which she replies,
"Ain't nothing but a hound dog."
Without the Wild Wasteland trait, she instead says,
"Somebody's asking for a boot in their fuse box."
However, this will not happen in normal gameplay due to the check for whether or not the player has the Wild Wasteland, mistakenly checking whether or not Cass has the trait. This is of course referencing to Elvis Presley's cover of Big Mama Thornton's song, Hound Dog. Dead Money. G is for ghost people. While in the Dead Money DLC, Dog will say this while eating ghost people.
Nom nom.
This is a reference to the sound Cookie Monster makes while eating cookies in the Sesame Street TV series. Get an axe. When Dean Domino kills his first ghost person, he says,
"It's a trick. Get an axe."
This is a reference to a scene toward the beginning of the movie Army of Darkness, where the main character Ash cautions a knight against touching a seemingly deceased enemy. Are you my mummy? Within the wine cellar close to the bell tower, where the gala event is triggered, the phrase, "I am not your mummy," is scratched on the central pillar. This is another Doctor Who reference of the two 2005 episodes named The Empty Child and The Doctor Dances, where Blitz-era London is infected by a technological plague, resulting in humans being permanently fused to gas masks, somewhat like the ghost people. Honest Hearts, two bears high-fiving. When passing the entrance of Angel Cave in the Honest Hearts DLC, a Dead Horse tribe member named Two Bears High-Fiving can run out and appears to be rooting the player on. This is a reference to a mod from the New Vegas Nexus that adds an option to select the dialogue Two Bears High-Fiving while Doc Mitchell is testing the player with Rorschach ink blots at the beginning of the game. Take drugs, kill a bear. During the quest Rite of Passage, while conversing with Whitebird, he will shout this when giving the player the quest objective.
Take drugs, kill a bear.
This is a reference to the Advice Dog internet meme that was popular in the late 2000s. Old World Blues. Walking Eye. Within the Magneto Hydraulics complex of the Old World Blues DLC, 4 robots are named Walking Eyes throughout the building. They are spying robots produced by the Big Mountain Company and have a spider form with 4 metallic legs as well as a white spherical body. This is a reference to the Walking Eye from the TV series The Venture Bros, specifically the episode named Fallen Arches. Wash the Walking Eye. Again, we see another reference to these walking eyes. While wandering through the Big Empty, Dr. Zero will give announces by shouting through the intercoms. One of these lines may be,
Attention, lobotomites! Do not neglect to wash the walking eye!
This is another reference to the Venture Bros, where the character Dr. Rusty Venture is using his walking eye to seduce and attract the attention of supervillains. Another interesting thing to note is that James Urbanak, the voice actor of Dr. Zero, is also the voice actor of Dr. Rusty Venture. Stripe. In Dr. Boris's backyard within Higgs Village is a doghouse containing a miniature Deathclaw named Stripe. Stripe is instantly hostile to the player, but will not go near the village fountain and will retreat to his house if the player tries to lead him to it. Another note to make is that there is a chicken leg right outside the doghouse as well. This scene is a reference to Stripe, the main antagonist of the movie Gremlins. The chicken leg is referring to the Gremlins' preferred food, chicken, and Stripe's avoidance of the fountain is a callback to how he dies at the end of the movie. And then explode and die. Within the X-7A left field artillery launch, the player can hear a nonsensical intercom message that ends with, and then explode and die. This is a reference to the film Serenity, where a similar announcement is made by the captain of the titular ship over the intercom while they're crash landing. Dogs playing poker. While exploring the X8 Research Center, after the high school testing area, is a room with a window that peers into another room where the player can see 5 police cyber dogs. They are sitting around with cards and drinks scattered around the table. This is a reference to the famous Dogs Playing Poker series of paintings by C.M. Coolidge. A similar scene appears in the Fallout Tactics special encounter with Brahmin playing poker. Wolverines. While exploring the high school testing area of the X8 Research Center, the player can find the word Wolverines spelt out across the wall. This is a reference to the film Red Dawn, in which high school students turned guerrilla fighters decide to name their outfit the Wolverines, after their high school mascot. Hi ho, it's off to work we go. At the construction site within the crater, there are several intact garden gnomes positioned around some of the large red crystals, accompanied by pickaxes and lanterns. This is of course a reference to Snow White and the 7 Dwarves. Hey, who turned the lights out? It is possible to hear a Y-17 trauma override harness say,
Hey, who turned out the lights?
You can hear this line within either the X-12 Research Center and the Z-43 Innovative Toxins plant. This is a reference to the 2008 Doctor Who episodes Silence in the Library and The Forest of the Dead. These episodes featured an alien species known as the Vashta Narada, which consumed people inside of their spacesuits and then operated them with the original occupant's skeletal remains inside, similar to the trauma harnesses. Rocket 88. Northeast of the Big Mountain West Tunnel is an abandoned military truck that has been cut in half by a hill. The truck's cargo bed contains several barrels of radioactive waste with a New Jersey license plate that reads Rocket 88, spelled R-O-K-I-T. This is a double reference, one to the movie Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the 8th Dimension, where the protagonist drives a vehicle through a solid mountain, and the license plate is a reference to the Ike Turner song Rocket 88. Plan 9. While speaking to Dr. Mobius, he will mention that he needs to implement Plan 9. This is a reference to the film Plan 9 from Outer Space. Killroy Was Here. As the player leaves the think tank, or the sink, if they turn left and follow the dome's wall, they will find a piece of graffiti that reads, "Killroy was here," alongside a depiction of a face with a large nose peeking over a wall. The term "Killroy was here" is an old meme that was popularized by Allied soldiers during World War II. Lonesome Road. Seymour. A petrified dog corpse named Seymour can be found within the cave of the Abaddon on the right side from the entrance, next to Sunflower Summers' corpse on top of a turned over cabinet. This is a reference to the dog Seymour Asses from the TV show Futurama, who was introduced in the episode Jurassic Bark as having been petrified and fossilized. North Raar. If the player crafts the Fist of Raar, it will now sport the name Fist of North Raar. This is a reference to the post-apocalyptic anime and manga Fist of the North Star. Try Guest. With the trait active, the password to the terminal at the 3rd Street Municipal Building is Guest. Credits. The game's credits are also significantly changed with Wild Wasteland. Most names will carry a rather silly nickname, and other nonsense messages from the developers are interjected semi-randomly. This is a holdover from the developer comment credits from the first 2 Fallout games. Most instances of the name Dead Money are replaced with Dead Monkey. The wacky credits can also be read without the trait inside the game's files listed as credits wacky.txt. And that finally wraps up all of the random and unique twists of Fallout New Vegas' Wild Wasteland trait. Let me know what your favorite part of Wild Wasteland is below, and also tell me if you learned anything new. Thank you for watching, and as always, please like and subscribe for more content.